Namaste Vidya, Hamesha Khush Ho Vidya. A very good morning to you all. Myself, JVN Dr. Ravi Jain, Assistant Professor, Department of Practice of Medicine at Faculty of Homeopathic Science in Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss about heart failure. Heart failure is a complex clinical syndrome that results from structural or functional impairment of ventricular filling or ejection of the blood. What is a heart failure? A heart failure is a complex clinical syndrome that results from the structural or functional impairment of the ventricular filling or ejection of the blood. The heart cannot maintain an adequate cardiac output. Heart failure is broadly categorized into two groups. First one is heart failure with depressed ejection fraction, that is known as systolic failure. And the second one is heart failure with preserved ejection fraction, that is diastolic failure. So there are basically two types of heart failure. One with depressed ejection fraction, that is known as the systolic failure, and the other one with preserved ejection fraction, that is known as the diastolic failure. Now, what is the mechanism of heart failure? The mechanism of heart failure is vivid and it consists of many things. So let's discuss the mechanism of heart failure. Number first is there is reduced ventricular contractility. Reduced ventricular contractility that occurs in the myocardial infarction, MI. In the second case, there is ventricular outflow obstruction that can occur in case of hypertension and aortic stenosis. So we have ventricular outflow obstruction that occurs in hyperventilation and aortic stenosis. The third case, we have ventricular inflow obstruction that occurs in the mitral stenosis and tricuspid stenosis. So we have ventricular inflow obstruction that occurs in the mitral stenosis and tricuspid stenosis. In the fourth point, we have ventricular volume overload that occurs in ventricular septal defect. So we have ventricular volume overload that occurs in the ventricular septal defect. Next, we have arrhythmias. Arrhythmia that can occur in the atrial fibrillation. And in the last point, we have diastolic dysfunction that can occur in the cardiac tamponade. So the mechanism consists of reduced ventricular contractility occurring in MI, ventricular outflow obstruction with hypertension and aortic stenosis. We have ventricular inflow obstruction with mitral stenosis, tricuspid stenosis. We have ventricular volume overload occurring in the ventricular septal defect and arrhythmias with atrial fibrillations. And last of all, diastolic dysfunction that can occur in cardiac tamponade. This is what happening in the cardiac tamponade. Cardiac tamponade is a buildup of blood or the other fluid in the pericardial sac that puts pressure on the heart, which may prevent it from pumping activity. This is the pericardial sac and it is having a fluid buildup within the pericardial sac. This is known as the cardiac tamponade. Now, what are the various precipitating factors which are precipitating to the heart failure? We have coronary artery disease, hypertension, and we have diabetes mellitus, excessive sodium intake, we have non-compliance with the heart failure medications, acute MI, which may be silent, and acute arrhythmias. So we have coronary artery disease, hypertension, diabetes mellitus, excessive sodium intake, non-compliance with the heart failure medications, acute MI that can be silent, and acute arrhythmias. The other precipitating factors includes infections of the fever that can occur in the Chagas disease, pulmonary embolism, anemia, we have thyrotoxicosis, pregnancy, acute myocarditis or infective endocarditis, certain drugs, example, non-steroid anti-inflammatory agents and verapamil. So we have infections or fever, pulmonary embolism, anemia, thyrotoxicosis, pregnancy, acute myocarditis or infective endocarditis, certain drugs like NSAIDs. Now, what are the clinical features of heart failure? The symptoms include the dyspnea and fatigue. So the patient comes with dyspnea and fatigue. The signs includes edema and rales. There are edema and rales. The signs and symptoms of low cardiac output, pulmonary congestion, or systemic venous congestion. So we have dyspnea and fatigue, the signs of edema and rales, the signs and symptoms of low cardiac output, pulmonary congestion, and systemic venous congestion. The clinical features includes orthopnea, that is dyspnea occurring while lying down. There is paroxysmal nocturnal dyspnea, that is shortness of the breath and coughing, that is occurring generally at night and awaken patient from the sleep. We have kind stroke breathing, that is periodic or cyclic respiration. We have acute pulmonary edema, and other clinical features includes anorexia, nausea, and early satiety with abdominal pain. And we also have congestion of the liver. So clinical features include orthopnea, dyspnea occurring during lying down, paroxysmal nocturnal dyspnea, we have kind stroke breathing, acute pulmonary edema, other features, and congestive liver failure, congestion of the liver. Now the physical examination. What is the physical examination that need to be done in case of heart failure? We will observe jugular venous distension. So the distension of the jugular vein will be seen. Pulmonary congestion with the presence of rales, dullness over the pleural effusion. We will also see peripheral edema, and there will be hepatomegaly and ascites, and there will be sinus tachycardia, that is most common. So we have jugular venous distension. We have pulmonary congestion with rales, dullness over the pleural effusion, peripheral edema, and hepatomegaly and ascites, and sinus tachycardia, that is very common. Now, how will you diagnose the case of heart failure? Diagnosis is made on the basis of classical signs and symptoms of heart failure. So, by the presence of classical signs and symptoms that we just discussed in the previous slides, the diagnosis can be made. There are various lab investigations that could be done for the case of for the diagnosis of heart failure. It includes lab investigations like CBC, electrolytes, blood urea nitrogen, serum creatinine, hepatic enzymes, and urine analysis. So we have CBC, electrolytes, blood urea nitrogen, serum creatinine, hepatic enzymes, and urine analysis. Assessment for the diabetes mellitus, dyslipidemia, and thyroid abnormalities are seen. The ECG to assess cardiac rhythm and determine the left ventricular hypertrophy is done. We will also do chest X-ray to assess the heart size and shape, 2D echo or Doppler, and exercise test, that is TMP. So the diagnosis includes classical features, lab investigations, assessment for the diabetes mellitus, dyslipidemia, and thyroid abnormalities, ECG, chest X-ray, 2D echo or Doppler, and exercise testing, that is TMT, treadmill test. Now, how will you assess the functional capacity of the patient? So class 1 there are 4 different classes. In class 1, we have the patients with cardiac disease, but without the limitation of physical activity. So in class 1, we have cardiac disease is present, but the limitation to cardiac activity, the physical activity, is absent. The ordinary physical activity does not cause undue fatigue, palpitation, dyspnea, or anginal pain. In class 2, we have slight limitations of the physical activity. These are comfortable at rest, but ordinary physical activity results in fatigue, palpitations, dyspnea, or anginal pains. Class 3, we have marked limitations of the physical activity. Comfortable at rest, but less than ordinary activity causes fatigue, palpitation, dyspnea, or anginal pain. In class 4, we have inability to carry out any physical activity without discomfort. Symptoms are present at rest. So by the limitation of the physical activity, these 4 classes are classified. Now, what is the treatment for heart failure? The heart failure is viewed as a continuation of 4 interrelated stages. There are 4 interrelated stages. In stage A, the patient is having the high risk of heart failure but does not have structural heart disturbances. So stage A, when there is a great risk for heart failure, but the structural the changes are not present. Example in case of diabetes mellitus and hypertension. So these patients have a high risk for developing heart failure, but the symptoms of heart are not present. Stage B, we have the patients that have the structural heart disease but do not have the symptoms. So structural heart disease is present but they do not have the symptoms. Example, patients with previous MI or left ventricular dysfunction. So they have the heart disease but do not have the symptoms. Stage C, when the patient with heart disease and developed symptoms for heart failure. So in the stage C, we have both the conditions. Heart disease is also present and symptoms are also present. And in stage D, we have refractory heart failure requiring special investigations like recurring heart transplant. So after heart transplant, there is regular treatment that is needed to prevent heart failure. That is stage D. Now the treatment includes activity. That is, we have to avoid the heavy physical labor and ask the patient not to do it. The dietary restrictions of sodium and fluid restrictions are there. In pharmacological management, we advise diuretics to the patients like furosemide. We advise ACE inhibitors like ramipril and captopril. We have angiotensin receptor blockers like losartan. We have beta receptor blockers like carvedilol and bisoprolol. We have additional therapies like spironolactone and digoxin. Now the prognosis. The prognosis is, despite of the recent advances in the evaluation and management of heart failure, it still carries a poor prognosis. So despite of all the advances, the prognosis is still poor for the case of heart failure. 30 to 40% of the patients die within an year of diagnosis, and 60 to 70% die within 5 years of diagnosis of heart failure. So you can see the prognosis is very poor. The functional assessment is already discussed as an important predictor for the patient outcome, that we have already discussed the functional assessment in the previous slides. So this was all about heart failure. In the next lecture, we will be discussing about cor pulmonale. This session was powered by Digital Version 2.0 Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University. I hope you are satisfied with my digital session. If you have any query, please mention in the comment box and I'll try to resolve it. So this was all for today. Thank you very much. We will be meeting in the next lecture tomorrow with a new chapter, a new topic, that is cor pulmonale. So this was all for today. Thank you very much.